We're still monitoring the federal response to the train derailment in East Palestine closely. Last week, we told you about President Biden's new executive order directed at FEMA. Now, U.S. senators from both sides of the aisle in Ohio are asking the EPA to study the impact of the Norfolk Southern train derailment and whether conditions constitute a public health emergency. U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown joins us now. Senator, you and J.D. Vance sent a letter Tuesday to the EPA's administrator to see if the agency can determine if a public health emergency could be declared. If so, that could make them eligible for Medicare coverage in that area. With some people on private insurance or already on Medicaid, how many residents do you believe this could actually affect?
I was in northeast, Youngstown area a couple times this week, once in Boardman with police and firefighters, making sure their pensions are safe. Then I went later another day to East Palestine and to a health clinic. And I just want to be able to assure people, and that's really why I was there, to talk to them about taking care of people short-term and long-term, that if necessary, that I would hope we could put some of these residents on Medicare temporarily. We don't know how many it would be. We don't think it would be thousands. We think it would be hundreds. But it's important that for purposes of long-term care, that Norfolk Southern set up, make sure they take care of those people that maybe get sick 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from exposure, but also people now that are getting exposed who live very close or are handling the contaminated dirt as it's disposed of, that they be Medicare eligible.
Senator, this sounds like a good idea, but it's not 100% free. The access to Medicare coverage would be Part A, but wouldn't the residents still have to pay for Part B and their prescriptions?
We don't know yet. That's a very good question. We want to make sure that, I mean, it can be a different kind. It could be Medicare Advantage. It could be just Part A or Part B. We need to work that out. It's not an agreed to thing yet. We are sending this letter, getting the EPA to do a study if they could be Medicare eligible, and then we make those decisions on what kind of care they would get under Medicare.
What long-term concerns do you have for their health at this point?
Well, I have long-term concerns because medical professionals have told me there's potential long-term concerns. We know what happened with exposure to burn pits in Iraq. I wrote the law called the PACT Act that helps those veterans that come home, and maybe 5 years later they come down with bronchial illnesses or cancers. I want to make sure if that happens here that Norfolk Southern pays for it. But these exposures weren't as long exposures, the repeated day-by-day exposures our military had for a year, but this exposure's in the community. People got it pretty intensively. If they live close by, if they live near the contaminated dirt that's still there, that they are carting away. We don't know those answers, but we want Norfolk Southern to guarantee payment for people that get sick long-term.
I know you're really tight on time, but the federal budget deadline is almost here at the end of the week. Are you expecting a federal government shutdown, and do the parties have any common ground on spending and where to make some cuts?
We have absolute common ground in the Senate. We passed it with, I believe, 80 to 20. And a bipartisan bill, strong support from both parties. House members are playing games, and the extremists in the House trying to score political points. It's why people in Mahoning Valley don't like government, is that the games they play to score political points instead of dealing with the issues of the day. And we know how to do it in the Senate. The House has got to do its job. They made an agreement, the President and Speaker McCarthy, and they broke the agreement. And let's fix it like we've done in the Senate.
All right, Senator Sherrod Brown, thank you for your time.
Sure.